Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope we're all doing very, very well. Now, this is a little housekeeping video because there's been a few things sent to me and I meant to do videos on them when they first turned up, but you know me, things happened, stuff rolled into town and coerced me in different directions. So now, before I get on with the big full review for Rob Roy, which is coming probably tomorrow morning now, I do apologise. For those who are waiting that review today, it's going to come tomorrow. But you're going to get it anyway. Let's discuss what he sent. Now, the weird thing about these is that he didn't tell me he was sending anything. And they arrived out the blue. There was no sort of indication as to who might have sent them. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to open these because there could be a message inside. Well, there was no message inside. But because of what they were, I thought, this has all the hallmarks of our great super channel contributor, Astradyne, your friend of mine. Astradyne, a traveller in time. And I thought, it's got to be him. But so one of the items I actually put in the background from a video a few videos ago, hoping he'd notice it and then he'd trip himself up and like give the game away. He didn't. No, he was pretty cool, to be honest. Probably because he didn't watch the bloody video in the first place. But it is from Astradyne, and he sent a couple of things, then another thing, and there's something else on the way which he has told me, and he's even sent me the tracking number. It's come from America. Oh yes, all the way from across the pond. And I've tracked its journey so far. And have a guess where it is right now, as we speak. It's languishing in a cell in Her Majesty's Customs and Excise. Now, previous experiences with that sort of, this is where it is at the moment, tends to result in either a bigger delay or oh, you've got a big customs charge to pay. Not him, me. But we'll see. Things might transpire. I don't know what it is, by the way. I've got no idea what it is. But I'm looking forward to it. If customs ever get their greedy, pilfering, corrupt fingers off it and allow it to progress to Kilt Mansion. Anyway, so what has he sent? Well, they're displates. Displates, you say? Kilt-Man, displates? What be displates? Displates are when you get a piece of metal, a sheet of metal with a bit of fantastic movie artwork or design or any kind of artwork is hand delivered to the metal sheet. I don't know how they do it. I've got no idea. But if you look up displates, it'll tell you they're all handcrafted, and some of them come with like little, big disclaimers, saying how you got to put them on the wall because some have magnets, some have double-sided sticky tape. But I know these things. The ones that the magnet holds the metal sheet to the sticky tape. You put it on a wall. It does specify a sturdy, stable wall. Well, we've got plenty of stables here, so for our flock of kangaroos, and you put them. I've done this before. I've got other displates, and in the wee small hours, you may be awoken very rudely to a harsh clang and clatter as one of these bastards springs itself with Olympian speed, vigour, and athleticism from its perch on the wall right across a huge chasm of space, hitting another wall and taking down other objets d'art in the process and waking the entire mansion household up. Also with severe coronary implications as well. So yeah, they are kind of precarious. So I don't tend to stick them on the wall. I tend to prop them up somewhere like on a shelf or on a bookcase. So that's where they are secreted. I'm not falling for that bloody magnet and sticky, double taped stickiness ever again. So what have we got then? Well, first of all, we've got some whiskey. So I'm going to imbibe of this. If I start shivering, it's because the back doors are wide open and the husky dog is out there. I spoke too soon. The husky dog is about to make an appearance. There! Just there! Yeah, she's come in. She heard, "Oh, Dad, you're drinking whiskey? In that case, I'll slurp some water very loudly and interrupt. Well, cheers, y'all. Cheers, Roxy. Cheers, Astradyne." I'm just going to go and shut them doors now because it is fucking Baltic. Back in a sec. Sorry about that, folks. Right, let's kick off. So, first one, I'm going to play the appropriate music for this. If it starts. Because this system is not working very well at the moment. It's taking its time to do anything. And now, it won't fucking play. Oh, here we go. What could this be? It's Space 1999 from the 70s. Live action, but with lots of model miniatures and special effects. Jerry Anderson's great sci-fi classic with Martin Landau, Barbara Bain, and Barry Morse. Fantastic show. Moonbase Alpha gets blasted out of orbit from the Earth and just goes rocketing through space with their fantastic crew of daring do guys and ultra scientists, all colour coordinated a la Star Trek and the Federation Starfleet, encountering monsters, demons, possessing entities from other worlds and dimensions, and having weekly adventures. But they used to jet around off the surface of Moonbase Alpha in these. Here's our first displate. This is on metal. What is that, folks? It's an Eagle transporter. Look at that. That was the vehicle, the spacecraft of choice. Well, when I say choice, didn't have a lot of choice. Moonbase Alpha was a great big complex on the moon, and it had a fleet of, I think, 27 of these, 27 and one wreck, if I remember rightly. I don't know where I got that info from. I'm probably way off the mark as well. But pretty much anyone could fly these. But you had the ace pilot, Alan Taylor, played by some Australian bloke whose name I've forgotten now. But he was he was the hero guy, especially in season 1, because in season 2 you got Tony Anholt playing someone called Tony, who was he was the younger stud action guy. Because Martin Landau was cracking on a bit even then, but a fantastic actor. And you had Barbara Bain, boring Barbara Bain, as his missus, who was the chief scientist and medical officer. But she was like the stale point in the show, I always thought. I have discussed the show before, but and you're hearing Barry Gray's fantastic music for one of my favourite episodes, which is, what's it called? Oh, it's one about the big demon monster with tentacles, and I forgot what the show's called now, but it's a classic, and I have reviewed it on the channel as well. But yeah, Barbara Bain, attractive older bird, yeah, but and weren't they married? Martin Landau and Barbara Bain were married, and they're playing a couple in this as well. But these were awesome, and they're Eagle transporters. I've got a little note here. They had 4 fusion rockets that were situated at the back there, and they could travel, get on this, at a speed of 23,700 miles per second. Did we ever see them do that in the show? I mean, that'd be like bit quicker than that, Kilt-Man, to be honest. And they could fly for 48 hours at a stretch, non-stop, without refueling. They had provisions for 8 to 12 passengers in this sort of cargo area here, and you had a pilot and a co-pilot. Now, pretty much everyone could fly these things. I think that'd be a prerequisite, really. On a moon base, and you've got a load of these things there. If the shit hits the fan, and it certainly did with Space 1999, but you would need everyone to be able to fly these things, at least with a rudimentary, knowledge of how to get him off the ground and get him out into the deep black inkiness of space. But it's a fantastic bit of kit. They looked amazing. They were miniatures, obviously, but you had quite in-depth sort of cockpit interior set for people to literally act around in. And you could always swap out the cargo area here. Put people in there if you're transporting people, or you put scientific equipment and whatnot could go in there. But they were great, real iconic design with these like suction cup sort of pressurized landers. But they were great. And Alan Taylor, he was boss. Blonde-haired, swarthy looking chap. Didn't make any attempt to hide the Australian accent, and why should he? And but he was quite clearly receding very badly. So even though he was the sort of the hot stud in season 1, there wasn't a lot of hair on top, and there was a bit of a sidewinder going on. But we all loved him. But he was great. So that's great. So here's and this one is there's no magnet on the back of this one. This one actually has a bit of a funky backdrop. Dragon's Domain was the episode with the big tentacle thing. But this is like double-sided, sort of like little sticky pads. That's doomed, isn't it, as well? But these things are great to put in the background when I'm doing videos like on Space 1999, and there will be more. That'll be in the background. So perfect. Astradyne, cheers. I applaud it. Fantastico. Now I'm going to move on. If this system fouls up on me, its days are numbered. I can tell you that for a fact. So gonna have to fork out and get a whole new system here. But it was on the cards anyway. Sorry, still love you, but you're getting old. '70s funk trying to be futuristic funk. Never really worked, did it? But funk is funk, and funk lives forever. Right, okay, let's go on to let's see if I can find this now. Oh yeah, it should be alright. The next one's a classic as well. And we have also a very classic, very forward-thinking soundtrack. This is a film from 1956, directed by Fred M. Wilcox, starring Leslie Nielsen as a hero. It is Forbidden Planet. Oh, Robbie the Robot. Altair 4. Monsters, John. Monsters from the id. Yeah, the big spectral, demonic, the mind of the Krell, all the evil designs and imaginations of the long dead Krell still manifest themselves when other people's emotions come into play. Yeah, you've got Altair 4 and Altair 6, whatever, Altair the planet. And we have a United Planets Star Cruiser. The Star Cruiser is C-57D, hasn't got a name, and it's a flying saucer. Because this was filmed in 1956, and you had the big, massive UFO flap over America during the early 50s, harkening back to what happened during World War II and the bogies that were being seen by B-52 bomber pilots. And which also had gremlins on board as well. What a time, And but the typical image of a flying saucer, you had This Island Earth, you had, oh God, how many others? The Day the Earth Stood Still, Earth versus the Flying Saucers for Ray Harryhausen, and they're all flying discs, little, them sherbet flying saucers. So, in the same package that had the Eagle transporter, there was this. Look at that! I've got to do it at an angle because otherwise the ring light will go, woo! And there's another flying saucer. Look at that. So that's them landing. That's our crew of humans under the command of J.J. Adams, played by Leslie Nielsen. Because the Bellerophon was an exploratory ship which landed there a good few years before. There's been no response. They've been sent out to, like, what the hell happened to the people on the Bellerophon? But there's only one survivor and his daughter. It's Dr. Morbius, played by the great Walter Pidgeon, who is his daughter, Altera, named after the planet, obviously. And they live there in an idyllic sort of alien tropical landscape with their own flowers, fauna, and a lot of animals which they've created there. And Robbie the robot, their manservant. But when these other... Dr. Morbius, I've got 21 sex-starved spacemen there with an average age of 19, and let me tell you, when they see your daughter, it's going to be very hard for me to control them. That's not the dialogue, but that's the gist. And one by one, all the crew fall in love with Altera. Obviously they're going to, played by Anne Francis, delectable and gorgeous, in very skimpy little space gowns. And but it's Leslie Nielsen gets the girl, but they've got to fight the monster of the id, which is created by the jealousy of her father. He's discovered the Krell underground complex, which defies all laws of physics. It goes on forever downwards and goes on forever in that direction and that direction and that direction behind you and right behind me as well. But all the power of the Krell intellect can be harnessed, but all that does because of their hidden emotions and their debauched consciousness. When they reached the ultimate pinnacle of technology, the Krell, and they got wiped out overnight because the technology created the monster of the id. So all their petty jealousies and rage and rivalries became a night of absolute carnage, and they killed each other. But that machinery is still there, and if you start to use it and enhance your intellect, as Professor Morbius has done, and some of the crew of the what is it called again? The C-57D, it creates the monster from the id, which kills some of the crew, and you have to have a life and death battle, and they've got to get off the planet before the whole thing goes kaputzi. There's the ship. It's a pure flying saucer. You're hearing the soundtrack now, the revolutionary soundtrack by Lewis and B.B. Barron. They couldn't call it a soundtrack at the time, or they couldn't call it a movie score. So it's like sound design or musical language by Lewis and B.B. Barron. But it's pure synthesized oscillations and machinery and tonalities, and I love it. This film's a classic. I've reviewed it on the channel as well. And recently I saw on a site that specialises in vintage horror movies and sci-fi movies, and you'd expect everyone to be slavishly in love with this masterpiece, for which it is. And I was stunned to read a lot of people who I'd love the film, but I cannot stand that fucking soundtrack. It's awful. As a kid growing up, this spoke to me of other worlds, of the future, of science fiction, robots, aliens, monsters, other planets. It's fantastic. And of course, it comes to denote the machinery, this vast underground complex, which goes on for a gazillion miles, right away through the deep core of the planet, and in every direction. And in wonderful sort of animation, matte shots, but real life figures walking through them. Great effects, absolutely tremendous effects for their time, and they still look tremendous even today. But your mind just goes, I can't comprehend this. your mind is expanded and blown apart by the visuals of this movie and its themes and its ideas. But you start off with one of these things, and it's got a faster than light, and I think it's called, I've written down here, Klystron drive, but it could be Plystron, I don't know. Again, I've covered the movie and discussed all this before, but I just can't remember now. I think it's a Klystron drive. So they're going, faster than the speed of light. Whoa! They're whamming it through the cosmos. And then when they come upon, the place they've got, oh, we're getting off here, right? They've got to slow down and decelerate. So the crew have to go and stand in these sort of like stasis tubes, these deceleration tubes, so that all their innards, acclimatise and like stop jetting out of every pore in their body as the ship comes to a stop and then forms an orbit. But the ship is magnificent. Look at that. That's when they first touch down, and when they get there, it's a green sky, and like one of them says, like, "Look at that sky," Another one goes, "Yeah, but I'd still rather take blue sky." I've mangled that bit of dialogue. Look at that sky. Yeah, but I'd rather take blue. Oh, I don't know. I think a man could get used to this. And then you see it like a dust cloud in the distance, and it's going across the horizon at a hell of a speed. And it's sort of zigzagging towards him, and that driver must be a maniac, And it pulls up. It's Robbie the robot, one of cinema's greatest ever robots. You can have your C-3POs and your R2-D2s. You can have all of that stuff. Like, you can have your RoboCop. You can have your Terminator. Robbie the robot. Because why? He has a thing inside his guts. He's a great big sort of Michelin Man style robot with like, I've got to figure a bit, but did I think to bring it down? No, I didn't. He's got a big domed sort of phallic penis head. And there's all little cogs and wheels moving in there. Sort of like very steampunky, little dials and things, and sort of great big chunky buttons going, as if they're being pressed by invisible fingers. But he's massively complex. He can replicate anything as well in his little stomach cavity. So you can put in Kentucky bourbon. That's what you'd use in the movie. I wouldn't be drinking that. Drinking proper whiskey, real whiskey. Cheers. But what you could do, because they've got the little bottles, and Cook, who's played by the guy that was in Policewoman and Hawaii Five, was he in Hawaii Five-O? L. Holliman, I think his name is. He's the ship's cook, and he strikes up a relationship with Robbie the robot. No, not like that. But so like you can replicate anything, because you can make star sapphires and diamonds and all sorts of things, and you can rig up fantastic dresses and gowns for Altera. And he puts in one bottle of this stuff, and it gets taken. And he's like, "What? Give that back." Would 50,000 gallons suffice? And he's like, 50,000 gallons? Yeah, by tomorrow night. That'll do nicely, sir. Wow, what a robot! He can do anything, and but he's governed by Asimov's laws of robotics. He can't harm a human being. He can topple the fantastic palatial, futuristic space age mansion that Morbius has got, but he can't actually hurt a human being. And it's clever. So you got lots of moments where the poor robot's trying to do the right thing by his boss's orders, but he can't hurt another human being, so it begins to fry his highly computerized brains. But how did you cobble this together? Well, because I've been using the Krell intellect machine, and I've been boosting my intelligence. Ta-da! It's brilliant, and I love this. It's such a cool image. Pure flying saucer, beautifully crazy, warped, pure comic book style alien world. Got another flying saucer crept in there. It's getting reflections of everything. But isn't it great? And it's a spinning thing, and like when you land, and a great big flight of stairs come down, and they come. When you watch it, watch how they all come speeding down the stairs without looking. They've got the big ray guns, and they form a defensive perimeter. It's also, that landing site becomes a scene of a great battle with the Krell monster, and it's coming down one of these canyons, these rocky canyons, and it's just outstanding. Very tense, very exciting. And the effects for it, which are just like the outline of this big squat, huge demon, which gets bigger and bigger the more that it's fueled by emotions and the hidden, the subconscious, you know? And it picks up people and throws them around, and like, it's fucking great. I love it. That's genius. And that one, that Displates I put in the background for one video a while ago, hoping that Astradyne would get in touch. He did not. But anyway, now we know that it's Astradyne who's behind all this. He's masterminded it. He's Astradyned it. So I'm some more of this. I'm not having tea yet, so the tea tonight is actually a chippy tea. Yay! So I'm having beef green pepper black bean sauce with fried rice, and there might be some chips involved in it, but I'm also having chicken sweet corn soup beforehand. Oh yes, nothing but the best. So you've heard this elaborate sort of experimental score from Lewis and B.B. Barron, who had done a lot with machinery, circuitry, electronics, and created these wonderful space age sounds. And that's why it bugged me. A lot of these people, and they weren't like youngsters who joined that site, who were like, oh God, what's that? You get this a lot, you know, young people who catch up with the old classics of sci-fi and horror. Most understand their position in genre history and why they're so important and they should be revered. But to them, and you can't blame them, if they're weaned on Transformers and fucking this, that and the other, you know, they go back and watch these, like, this is cheese, this is just garbage. I get it, I understand why people are like that. But these weren't youngsters, these were older people who grew up with this movie. I always hated that soundtrack. I'd never heard anyone diss this music at all, these tonalities. And it still beggars belief because it perfectly suits the movie. It gives it that otherworldly, ethereal, bubbling, oscillating sort of, I'm repeating myself now, but alien landscape. And it's just outstanding. And speaking of outstanding, we have this one arrived separately. This one only arrived yesterday. And again, I did not know who it was off, but it's Astradyne. It's gotta be. And these all came from, those first two came from a guy in Glasgow. So Astradyne had ordered these from this guy who I think has a shop on eBay. But there's a little sort of return address from Glasgow. And I was thinking, I know loads of people in Glasgow, but I don't know you. So I was thinking, who is this? Who sent these? But obviously Astradyne ordered it from eBay and he's got the, you know, you with me. Okay, we're going to move on to a different soundtrack, but an equally as classic, if not more classic, and perhaps a lot more longevity, because it's still going to this day. And it's had a TV show, several TV shows in fact, quite a few TV shows, and many movies. So let's see if we can get on to this now. Because I have the soundtrack to this particular thing. And please don't screw me up. Let's just do it. Let's just do it, shall we? Look, we don't appear to be getting the main theme, but this is the soundtrack to an episode of Star Trek. It's Star Trek. I mean, I think a couple of things may have given this away. I mean, you've got Space 1999 there. You've got Forbidden Planet sitting right there. And you've got, well, you've got the Gorn and you've got Captain Kirk, William Shatner. I know it's Michael Myers, but we all know the Michael Myers mask was was actually not inspired by, it was the Captain Kirk, William Shatner mask. And all he did was just take the sides off it and spray paint it white and do a few more modifications. And then obviously like stab it in the neck with a knitting needle and then shoot it in the head, you know, and do all sorts. But it's a reunion of Kirk and the Gorn, because this displate is a doozy, folks. I love this. What this is, it's one of those, you've probably seen them, I've got t-shirts of this sort of thing, where it's done as a stage, sort of a battle, an arena battle, the name of the episode, Arena, where you've got like two characters from a movie or a TV show who are going head to head, like it's a proper sporting event. I've got one from Escape from New York, not a display, but a t-shirt of Snake fighting Slag, played by Ox Baker, in the ring with the baseball bats, and then the spiked baseball bats with the dustbin lids as shields, and Snake puts it in the back of his head. Oh, gee, fantastic. I've got a t-shirt with that, like it's a big championship bout, and it's brilliant. Well, we have I'll just show you. Look at this! Done like a full page ad in a sporting paper or magazine, or a billboard, or posters on the sides of sporting venues and in pubs and clubs. There you go. It's Kirk there. It's the Gorn there. And we have the ultimate galactic one-on-one fight for Cestus 3. That's the planet they end up on. The Metrons have whisked off Captain Kirk. That didn't sound rude, did it? They've whisked off Captain Kirk and the captain of the Gorn ship and put him on this sort of wasteland planet, unarmed, but there are materials there to build weapons that can defeat the other one. The Metrons don't like violence, and what's happened is, at the start of the episode, Cestus 3 is a Federation outpost which has been annihilated by the Gorns, and Federation guys, Starfleet, land there, end up having a bit of a laser fight, and you heard a few bombs going off, and they manage to bug out, get back on the Enterprise, and then pursued by this other ship, the Gorn ship. And then they get the Metrons, because they get into Metron space, and right, we don't have violence in this part of the galaxy, so your captain and your captain must fight together, and then the ones who lose will wipe them all out, and the ones who win can fuck off and never come back again with your violent ways. So yeah, Kirk ends up having to fight the big reptilian Gorn, and it is an absolute classic episode, all filmed at Vasquez Rocks, which of course Vasquez Rocks is where any alien planet in Star Trek, the TV show, was bloody well filmed there. If it demanded exterior shots, it happened to be a different coloured planet with trees and jungles and vegetation, then obviously it was a set. But if it was a desert planet, Vasquez Rocks, just outside of Hollywood, would be ideal. There's even a great big rock there, which is called Kirk's Rock. It's lucky there's only one rock, it'll be Kirk's Rocks, you know. But Kirk has to, when Kirk gets beamed down there by the Metrons, God, even that sounds rude. Beamed by the Metrons, and you meet your opponent now. In the Greatfoot shows in America, there was always like commercial breaks, and like in the UK we didn't have that, but it just played continuously. But Kirk's there, my fighting sort of thing, and suddenly that guy appears. And you're like, oh shit, big fucking 8 foot tall reptilian bastard, and he's played the guy in the suit. The suit was designed by a fellow called Wah Chang. Did a lot of sculptures and body suits and stuff for TV shows and movies, and but the guy playing it was a stuntman called Bobby Clark. But the voice of the Gorn, the voice was Ted Cassidy, Lurch. Ted Cassidy, who was also Sasquatch, Bigfoot, in the first couple of episodes of the Bigfoot saga for the $6 Million Man. He was replaced later on by Andre the Giant. Equally as good, but I prefer Ted Cassidy. He was also in Man from Atlantis. He's also in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, because he's like, again, he's about 7 foot tall, something ridiculous. 7'2", for real. I haven't just made that up. He's about 7'2". And he's the big guy in when Butch and Sundance's gang is gonna like turn on them and we're gonna take over now. He's the guy, and it's Ted Cassidy, but with a great big moustache, looking really mean as well. And he wants a knife fight with Paul Newman, but Paul Newman goes, "Just remind me, what are the rules of a knife fight?" "Rules? There ain't no rules." She goes, "Oh right," and it fucking hoofs him in the balls. You can say, "Oh!" And it's not him, but it's the voice of this guy. And when you hear the voice, because you've got communicators there, so even though they can't speak to their respective starships, like Kirk is saying, "What I'm going to do here, I've got this strange powders there. I can do this. I can do strange powders. First, I'm going to sniff them first of all. Then I won't give a toss. But I'm going to do this and do that. And the Gorn is bigger and stronger than me, but I'm quicker and more agile." As we see when he does his famed two-footed drop kick, he gets picked up by the Gorn in the first skirmish. Right? There's a bear hug, and of course, Shatner just goes bang bang on his ears and lets him go. And he's like, and Kirk's scrambling around, climbs up the rocks and gets amounts to a pebble, and then goes, "Right, fuck off." And it goes, it's polystyrene, it goes boom, and it bounces off the Gorn's chest, and the Gorn thinks, "Right, two can play at that game, Kirk." And picks up a fucking boulder, but it's great. Kirk's up on the rocks of Vasquez rocks, and he's held this thing, and he sort of goes, this fucking huge boulder comes flying over. It's polystyrene again, but it's great. When you're a kid, it's so exciting, and it's just, oh my god, really, really brutal and mean and terrifying. And when you watch it now as an adult, it's so exciting, it's brutal, mean, and fucking terrifying. It's great, it's great. Incidentally, there's an episode in Space 1999 Season 2 where Koenig, Martin Landau, has to fight against these mercenary alien things. They're all different. All little hairy one, looks like Bill Oddie from The Goodies, and they've all got different powers. And he's got to fight them in a similar sort of scenario. And it's great. It's just, you've got to rely on your cunning and your ingenuity and your skills, and as well as pure brawn. Pure brawn, you say? Pure brawn? It's Gorn. And if you ever get a chance to see any Gorn porn, that's full of brawny prawn. Well, I've been drinking. So, presentation by order of the Metrons. Battle of Brawn in a fight to the death. Captain James T. Kirk, faster. The reptilian Gorn, stronger. Stardate 3045.6. Who will reign supreme? Fighting arena contains all the materials necessary to fabricate a suitable weapon. Desert planet showdown. That's fucking great. Because what happens is, Kirky boy realises, hang on, the Metrons say that all the materials to construct or fabricate, they say there, a weapon are here, but you've got none of your own. You haven't got your phasers, you haven't got knives, you haven't got whatever. The Gorn makes traps and he makes a knife, a dagger. But Kirk, when he's running, hiding for his life, he's like, that powder there, and these strange sort of bamboo-like plants. And then you've got, is that diamonds? But the crews of their ships can see. We don't see the Gorn ship. We don't see the Gorn crew. But they couldn't afford more than one costume, obviously. But you've got Spock and McCoy and everyone's there, and they're going like, yes, he's clever. He's remembering physics. Now, remember your first physics lessons, Doctor? He's making gunpowder. Because what does Kirk fabricate? Fabricate? What does Kirk construct with his bamboo and this explosive powder and diamonds? Gunpowder. He makes a fucking rocket launcher or a primitive rifle. So he puts the diamonds down, ignites the powder, boom! But in a great, classically creepy moment, because they can't talk to their ships, but they can leave sort of the crew can hear them speaking, and Kirk's doing like a kind of like a narration, almost like diary entries. You know, if I don't survive this, and I don't expect to, then if someone finds this, can they please send this recording back to Starfleet Federation? But he's saying what he's going to do, and they're watching him, and they're trying to like, oh, just pick that up. Oh, it's right there, Captain. You know, just oh, Captain, watch out behind you. That's Gorny bollocks comes lumbering up behind him like, with Ted Cassidy's rasping voice, which is exquisitely, gorgeously frightening, because he's doing all this, but they can listen in. What Kirk doesn't realise is Kirk's saying all these things, and the Gorn goes. Because there's obviously some kind of universal translator going on, like from the Metrons, to keep things on a level footing, I suppose. And the Gorn, you just hear it, like Kirk's like, shit, who's this? And it's like, Earthling, this is your opponent. You've got no chance. Why don't you stop running? I'll promise I'll make it quick and merciful. You go, fuck off. Why am I going to trust you? Oh yeah, I'm going to sit here. You kill me nice and quick, please. Bollocks. I've got a bazooka here. Woof. But it is great because Kirk does fall into a trap, and you're like, oh my god. And the Gorn's coming up with the air, because he's done a dagger, and he's like, and he takes him out, but doesn't kill him. And then of course, how dare I do that? If I pick up the whiskey bottle, remind me to drink out of it, instead of putting it down straight away. You can hear on this, it's Alexander Courage, again, who did the soundtrack to it, well, the main theme, obviously, but I think he did a score to this actual episode as well, I think. We can hear the Gorn rasping, and there's impacts taking place. It's sort of like, this is a music and effects track from the episode. And listen. So he takes him down with like this thing. And it's a bit like Predator. In fact, it's very, very similar to Predator. Traps, and you've got to use your ingenuity. It's a mono battle. And you will outwit the bigger, nastier opponents. And then as it's dying, you know, you can't make the killing blow because Kirk picks up its dagger and he's gonna kill it, and he can't do it. He says to the Metrons, you know, like, look, no, I'm not gonna do this for your entertainment. I'm more civilized than that, because you learn from the Gorn that, because they have a communication, they speak and say like, look, you killed our settlements on Cestus 3, and the Gorn's like, no, you invaded our land, our galaxy. You know, you had no permission to be there. We thought it was hostile, so we basically killed everybody. And like Ken goes, oh shit, you know, well maybe you were right. And he goes, no, Metrons, if you can hear me, I will not kill the Gorn. I will not commit murder for your entertainment. And like suddenly the Gorn goes, disappears, and this little fucking blonde sproglet is there. And Kirk's like, oh, shit, have I got to fight you now? What the hell? Like, are you a Metron? I'm a Metron. I kind of expected more than a little boy. I am 15,000 of your Earth years old. Something like that. And yeah, we're going to let you go because you chose honor and compassion. So we now think you're a civilized race. Something like that anyway. So Kirk gets put back on the Enterprise, and the Gorn ship goes, the Enterprise goes, and you get a little chuckle at the end. You know, I think the Metrons realise we're actually quite a civilized sort of race of people. You think so, Captain? Well, maybe another few thousand years. No, whatever it is. Like. But it's a classic episode with suspense, action, Kirk fighting. You know, you want to see him doing his stuff. Like, well, I say Kirk. It's a stuntman as Kirk, as Per. But the Shat does exceptionally well in this, and it is, I'd say, very possibly one of my favourite, but could be my favourite episode of Star Trek, could be. Although I'm a big fan of Day of the Dove as well, because that's a big action heavy one as well. the Klingons and an alien entity feeding off the energy of violence. Clever stuff. Gene Roddenberry really thought about the mechanisms of man, you know, and like what makes man tick. Oh, there was something else I meant to mention about this. About the flying saucer, the United Planets C-57D. There was 3 miniatures of that made. All did different things, all showed little different facets of it, and the 3 of them are featured in many episodes of the Twilight Zone for Rod Serling. They're in a lot of different episodes, you know, just sometimes in the fucking distance, or they've landed, or whatever, or it's a dream sequence. But yeah, that typical flying saucer shape has appeared in, well, it's what you think of. Even the thing from the world, you know, it's round. We finally got one. We found a flying saucer. 1951, the thing from the world, which I think you might see a poster for over there, just situated just above there, and an absolute classic. From the 50s, my favourite sci-fi horror movie, mainly sci-fi I suppose, they're the obvious ones, and I've talked about them all a lot, but numero uno / there's 2 of them. It's the thing from the world, and it is them, the giant ants, them. But Forbidden Planet, oh fuck, it's not just 1, it's not 2, it is 3. Those 3 films rule supreme in 50s sci-fi genre. They are masterpieces, they are immensely influential, and don't remake Forbidden Planet, please, but at some point they will. There was a stage show, Return to Forbidden Planet. Of course, The Thing has been remade. Well, not remade, because John Carpenter's The Thing, my favourite film of all time. I know I keep saying it every time, but I feel I have to endorse it. Don't know why. For newcomers, perhaps. And I've covered The Thing a gazillion times. The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, is not a remake of Christian Nyby and Howard Hawks' 1951 classic, The Thing from Another World. It is an adaptation of John W. Campbell's original Who Goes There, or if you like, Frozen Hell, for the full expanded version. So it's not a remake of that. Christian Nyby, Howard Hawks' Thing from Another World is its own adaptation of John W. Campbell's novella, and it's vastly different. So to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't mind a remake of that version. Don't remake John Carpenter's, but you can remake that and maybe up the body count a little bit. I'd be there for that, to be honest. I think that could, in theory, be done. Although the original is an absolute classic, beyond any shadow of a doubt. And of course, Star Trek keeps reinventing itself anyway. Ad infinitum. Space 1999. Could you do that? Could you do that again? Would you do it again? I can imagine that people have looked into doing that. Updated effects, obviously. A hip crew, you know, a cast of 1 or 2 notables, but then a lot of young. You can imagine how it would be now. It'd be full of transgender. It'd be full of lesbianism. Nothing wrong with that. But it'd be like Doctor Who, like modern Doctor Who, but translated to Moonbase Alpha. I bet you they couldn't call it Alpha. It'd have to be like something Alpha non-binary. Sorry, Moonbase non-binary. Alpha non-binary. You know where I'm going with this. To hell. Yeah, that's where I'm going. To hell. Because you can't say this shit these days, can you? Anyway. These things could be... Forbidden Planet, I would not like to see redone. And yet we know it is a space-age futuristic take on Shakespeare's The Tempest. But it's so far removed from any production of The Tempest that it is its own entity, it's its own thing. The more I think about Space 1999 being revamped, I'm not against, you know what, I'm not against it. I'm not against remakes or reimaginings, generalised. A lot of them are horrible. The vast majority are horrible. But certain things, I don't know, are they sacrosanct and can't be rethought with a new interpretation? They did it with Battlestar Galactica. And my God, how good was that show? That it took it in a different direction. And it changed and inverted a lot of the ideas. But it was brilliant. It actually genuinely worked. Who would have thought that? In fact, it was better than the... Battlestar Galactica was great in its day. I did like it, but I didn't like it as much as Buck Rogers. I didn't like it anyway as much as Star Trek. And I preferred Blake 7 as well. And there's another one that can be redone. But you just got to be careful how you redo these things. Do you bring in wokeisms? Well, in today's world, I'm afraid that's what they're going to do. Oh, by the way, there behind me is another displate that Astradyne sent quite a while ago. And that is a fantastic bit of artwork of a great, huge, bipedal werewolf. Beneath a full moon in a very sepulchrally lit forest meadow area. There's a flock of sheep which you probably can't see. They're just about here on my shoulder there. But the sheepdog, which looks like a German Shepherd dog, is squaring off against this 7 foot tall, possibly more, werewolf. And it's a great, great image. Well, that's a display as well. But it's one of the... if that pings off the wall, it's going to bring the wall with it. So, no. Displates are great. And the imagery is fabulous. I don't know how you put an image on metal. I haven't got a clue. Don't know. But I like the fact they do. This one actually says, beware, may have sharp edges. And I can tell you now, it does. It does have sharp edges. Dino, who asked me about cutting yourself live on video. Oh, that's not like one of these, how to self-harm. I inadvertently slashed open one of my fingers whilst cutting the trademark tag of a Trick or Treats mask on a video, and slashed that one there, that one. I've just stabbed it. Fucking hell. I slashed that finger right down to the bone, from there to the top, whoosh, like that, and then sat there for the final moments of the video, bleeding, well, not quite to death, because I'm still here, but my God, it was horrible, and it was pissing blood all over the floor, all over me kilt, and as it goes on, I was kind of like, I can actually feel that now. I was putting a brave face on, but I was like, oh shit, that's really, really hurting. Right down to the bone, I've gone with that as well. So be careful, folks. And yeah, he's not lying. The edges of that are sharp. So you're going to get these things. They're on Amazon. They're obviously on eBay. There's a lot of these different designs are put on these. I'm never sure where they got the name Displate from. I don't even know what that means. Displate. Diagram on a plate. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. But I do love them. But I think twice about actually adhering them to a wall. Again, that's the sound you hear when it pings off at a what speed again? What speed? 23,700 miles per second. And that is the speed of that. Is it? Did they ever do that in the show? I don't think they ever did. I think that's just fan-made sort of stats. Anyway, folks, big review coming tomorrow. But there you go. That's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun for a Sunday evening, and a great Liverpool win. Yes, after the sad news that Jurgen Klopp is retiring at the end of this season. Oh God. None of us can get over this. None of us. It's just fucking shock. And the weird thing was, he announced that on Friday. It's now Sunday. But about 2 days before, me and my son and Mrs. Kilt-Man were discussing how long we thought Jurgen Klopp would stay with Liverpool FC. And we all agreed he'll do this season and he'll do the next season. But then we think he'll move on or retire. And no! It's like he heard us. Actually, no, you're wrong there. I'm leaving at the end of this season, so get your heads around that. And we can't. But it was a great win today against Norwich. So anyway, folks, I have been always Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, this ever metal artwork displaying in between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all at a Desert Planet Arena near you.